A blessed morning to one
A
and all.
blessed morning to one and all.
Commission and Bank Resolution
Commission
Number
and Bank Resolution Number
630-2020
630
directs all
2020
CHED regional
directs all
offices to
CHED
conduct
regional
regular
offices
monthly
to
virtual
conduct
meetings
regular
with
monthly
higher
virtual
education
meetings with higher
institutions.
education
The
institutions.
regular meeting is a venue to
The
discuss
regular meeting is a venue
advisories,
to discuss
guidelines, and other
advisories,
relevant
guidelines,
issuances
and
by the
other
Commission.
relevant issues by the
Hence,
Commission.
today is the first of
Hence,
our monthly
today is
engagement.
the first of our monthly engagement.
To begin our first virtual meeting, we shall have the doxology to be followed by the singing of the Philippine National Anthem in Zamboanga Hermosa.
Dakilang may likha sa kalingat pang-unawa, mangyari ang iyong diwa sa langit at sa lupa.
اللهم إنك ترى أن هذه القلوب قد اجتمعت على محبتك واتقت على هذه المكان إيمانك وتوحدت على دعوتك فوسك ربيطاتها يا الله وأدم أدها واملأها بنورك الذي لا يخبو واسرح صدورنا بفائد الإيمان بك وجميل توكل عليك واهدنا سبل الوحدة والسلام والصلاح ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار يا الله أنت مستجاب لهذا الدعاء وعليك توكلنا وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين آمين الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. God, our loving Father, Creator of heaven and earth, we thank you for your generosity and kindness, and ask that you hear us in times of needs. Make us worthy of your blessing, and keep us from further want. Help us restore our abundance here on earth, so that we may turn more attention to your divine kingdom. Help us become a blessing to our family and others, to glorify and honor your name. We ask this to our Lord Jesus Christ, your Son, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, one God, forever and ever. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Iadya nyo kami sa pagmamataas upang maiwaksi ang lupit at dahas. At samahang lumikha ng pamayanang payapa sa kalikasan kabuhayan. Kakanyahat paniniwala.
Our Zoom meeting has reached its full capacity. We would like to remind those who were not able to join the Zoom meeting that this meeting is also broadcasted live in our Facebook page and our YouTube channel. At this juncture, Dr. Abelardo P. Morok, our OIC Supervising Education Program Specialist, will now give the welcome address.
Good morning, everyone. As we had run through our engagement in the past few months and with the higher education institutions and our stakeholders of academic communities in Region 9, and today I'm pleased to welcome you all in this meeting, especially to our dear presidents, heads of the different colleges and universities in this region, our vice presidents, academic heads, and of course, our deans of the different programs. To my dear colleagues, headed by Dr. Jacinta Tan, who heads in our technical division, the CHED9 Technical Working Group who are actually facilitating this meeting, headed by Dr. Joan Quaresma and Engineer Joseph Luz Santa Teresa. All under the leadership of our proactive, energetic OIC Regional Director, Dr. Robbie P. Garcia. And of course, to all our untiring mentors, resource speakers, lecturers, and experts, both from the academe and industry, for sharing their expertise and experiences. For the past 4 months, in all the different program clusters, and provided avenues and perspectives in flexible learning and the delivery platforms. Special mention to our teacher education programs, which spearheaded the series of webinars in order to craft the different approaches, perspective, and aspect of delivery of education to our students. Focus on essential attributes of teachers and among others. As we all know that we have to improve our capabilities to develop a realistic and acceptable modules designed for our students, which forms part of the learning continuity and contingency plan of each institution. CHED has recently prescribed guidelines, the CHED Memorandum Order number 4, series of 2020, the previous issuances like the CHED COVID-19 Advisories 1 to 7, and other issuances of IATF and the local government protocols. The reason of today's meeting between CHED and academe is to fine-tune the direction and alignment of our education platforms towards better delivery of knowledge and education to our students under the present situation. This has been encouraged by the Commission on Higher Education in order to address the concerns of our stakeholders. In behalf of CHED Region 9, I would like to convey my deepest gratitude to you for giving your precious time today. And we will be happy to hear your experiences and feedbacks as we have open classes in the tertiary level in the months of October, September, and even October. Hopefully, you continuously communicate with us on how we can provide you better guidance and information to help our students and our stakeholders under the new normal. Lastly, I'm looking forward to enriching and fruitful day ahead. Daghang salamat, may buntag, buenos dias.
Thank you, Dr. Morok. Moving on, we shall have Dr. Joan G. Quaresma, Education Supervisor 2, to acknowledge the participants of this virtual meeting.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kay. So before I would acknowledge each one in this webinar, let me first greet everyone a happy Teachers' Day as we celebrate this month for all of us educators. So to begin with, let me welcome all the President, VP ACAD, Deans of the different institutions to begin with HEI College Incorporated, Al-Haditha Mindanao College Incorporated, AMA Computer College Zamboanga, Andres Bonifacio College Incorporated, Ateneo de Zamboanga University, Aurora Pioneers Memorial College Incorporated, Ave Maria College, Lancia College Foundation Incorporated, Brent Hospital and Colleges Incorporated, Claret College of Isabela, Colegio de San Francisco Javier of Rizal, Zamboanga del Norte Incorporated, Dipolog City Institute of Technology, DMC College Foundation Incorporated, Dr. Aurelio Mendoza Memorial Colleges, Eastern Mindanao College of Technology, Ebenezer Bible College and Seminar Incorporated, Ferndale College, Zamboanga Peninsula, Hirons College, Philippines Incorporated, Immaculate Conception Archdiocesan School, J.H. Cerillas State College, both from Duminac and the main campus, Jose Rizal Memorial State University, Dipolo, Katipunan, Main, and Tampilisan Campus, Juan S. Alano Memorial School, Incorporated, Lucan Central Colleges, Incorporated, Marian College, Incorporated, Medina College, EPL, Incorporated, Medina College, Incorporated of Pagadian, Metro Santan College, Incorporated, Mindanao State University, Buug Campus, Nuevo Zamboanga College, Incorporated, Our Lady of Triumph Institute of Technology, Incorporated, Pagadian Capital College, Philippine Advent College, Philippine Advent College of Salud as well, Philippine Technological and Marine Sciences, Pilar College of Zamboanga City Incorporated, Rizal Memorial Institute of the Pitan Incorporated, St. Columban College Incorporated, St. Estanislao Costa College, St. Joseph College of Sindangan, Sibugay Technical Institute, Southern City College, West Campus and the main campus, Southern Mindanao Colleges, Southern Peninsula College Incorporated, St. John College of Buog Foundation Incorporated, St. Mary's College of Lalabasan Incorporated, St. Vincent College Incorporated, Universidad de Zamboanga, Main Campus Zamboanga, EPIL, and as well as Pagadian Branch, Western Mindanao State University with its extension from Alicia, Aurora, Curuan, Ditlahan, Imelda, EPIL, Mabuhay, Malangas, Molave, Naga, Olotanga, Pagadian, CI, Tungawan, and of course the main campus, Iliana Bayview College, Zamboanga City State Polytechnic College, Zamboanga del Sur Marine Institute of Technology, Zamboanga del Sur Provincial College, Aurora and Pagadian, Zamboanga State College of Marine Sciences and Technology, Samsula Everlasting College, as well as our viewers from our FB page, who is now with us viewing. Welcome to this webinar.
At this point in time, we are going now to proceed to the meeting proper. Our CHED OIC Regional Director, Dr. Roddy P. Garcia, will present the rationale as well as deliver his inspirational message.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sham Kasim, as well as to your co-host, Ms. K, as well as to the members of the technical staff, and not to forget our chief, Dr. Jacinta Tan, and our supervising education program specialist, Dr. Abelardo Moro. And of course, to the main characters of this activity are the heads of higher education institutions. Thank you for your participation to this virtual orientation, conference, or whatever we call it. But for me, this is an executive engagement that we have virtually with you this morning. I usually use the word engagement because through this kind of mode of embracing the issues and concerns, we can easily understand each other as to how our higher education institutions have to adjust to the current situation. barely 8 months already that all of us are experiencing and struggling so much of what this virus brought to our community and the entire world. But I am glad that with your commitment to still adjust and adapt to the so-called new normal, we are here actually healing as one and learning as one. Prior to the issuance of CMO4 Series 2014, or the guidelines in the implementation of flexible learning, the regional office has already issued regional memorandum guiding all higher education institutions to provide the flexible learning modalities as well as to design learning packages according to the vision, mission, and goal of your own institutions. You are given all the privileges and the freedom to do it according to your belief that you can still manage to transform your learners according to your vision, mission, and goal. And I'm so glad that most of you, when we had engagement with some of the higher education institutions in the region, when we had our physical engagement, we were able to witness how our higher education institutions exerted much effort in the production of the so-called learning packages. And today, perhaps most of our higher education institutions are doing well. I claimed that you are doing well in terms of the transmission of knowledge under the new normal. We are tasked to really assess and evaluate as to the status of the different approaches employed by higher education institutions. Starting next week, we are going around, despite of the pandemic, we'll make it sure that we will go around following the health safety protocol to really get engaged to all higher education institutions and to get feedback as to how the Commission on Higher Education can still be upheld in the implementation of your flexible learning modalities. I would like to remind everyone, for those higher education institutions, as of this time, if you do not have yet the different learning packages, you have to consider to differ for number of days the opening of classes, because we don't want to receive complaints right now. We already receive complaints. That's why we have to engage directly with you today. There are complaints that some of the HEIs, they opened their classes without enough preparation or sufficient teaching learning materials, either online and offline. There are also complaints coming to our office that there are teachers who are requiring students to be physically present in their institutions. Let me remind you that as of this time, the Commission on Higher Education still has no issuance related to physical conduct of classes or face-to-face. We want to address this issue directly to our higher education institutions, that if possible, let's not employ certain strategies allowing students to attend classes physically, either in number or in group. Even in number, I mean, you cannot just inform us that they will be there just for 10 students that can be accommodated in a classroom. As of now, we do not have any issuances to that matter. I am hopeful that with you, with us working as partner, we can actually attain the goal of higher education institutions, which is to transform individuals according to the standard of the programs. Let's not shortcut the standard of the different programs because of pandemic. I believe that these things happen for a reason. First, we can witness how institutions collaborated with each other. Collaboration is very important. We also witnessed how higher education institutions shared the resources with their counterparts. And this is a very beautiful culture that we have to develop. Sharing indeed is one way of improving one's standard. Sharing indeed is one way of showing that we care for each other. It is really the intention of the Commission on Higher Education to have a strong collaboration among and within higher education institutions in the community. With this CHED Memorandum Order right now, hopefully you will be properly guided as we are going to work with you hand in hand on how we can overcome this global crisis. I wish you all good health, and I ask Almighty Father to protect us as we are religiously doing our role and responsibility, not for ourselves, but for the future of the youth and the future of this country. Thank you and good morning.
Indeed, our commitment and collaborative efforts exerted to adapt and adjust and come together to learn and heal as one is commendable. Let us continue to work as partners to attain our goals. Once again, thank you, Dr. Garcia. So the conduct of regular monthly meetings is the Commission's effort to ensure that HEIs are well informed of the policies, standards, and directives of the Commission and are properly guided on matters that concern them. For the feedbacks on the various CHED advisories, may I request Dr. Jacinta Artan, OIC Chief Education Program Specialist, to do the presentation.
Buenos dias a todos. And once again, I would like to say good morning to each and everyone. Now, especially to all our presidents, staff officials, and of course, our very own active Regional Director, Dr. Rodi Garcia, together with the technical staff, the working group for this first regular monthly virtual meetings with the higher education institutions. Now, last September 15, 2020, all regional offices have received a communications from the Office of the Executive Director with the subject to conduct a regular monthly meeting of CHED regional offices with their respective higher education institutions to discuss CHED advisories and guidelines. Now, my presentation this morning is I just want to present the historical background with these different advisories because the main objective of this meeting is to actually get feedbacks from your end as to the implementations of these advisories as well as the guidelines on the flexible learning. So the guidelines for the prevention, control, and mitigations of the spread of this 2019 novel coronavirus, which is acute respiratory disease in higher education institutions. As mentioned by Sir Rodi, the regional office have issued several regional memo attached with this different advisory that we have received from CHED Central Office. So every time we receive advisory, we immediately forward to all HEIs for the reference and for guidance and informations. So it all started last February 12, 2020, which is the advisory number 1. This is a proactive call from CHED calling all HEIs to observe strictly the guidelines based on the issuances of the DOH and the WHO. Now, we have encouraged all HEIs to establish a protocol on the guidelines of this as found by the WHO and the DOH. And we are also happy indeed because we have received several calls from the HEIs showing their manifestations that they are all concerned with the health and safety of their students as well as their staff. And then after February 12, on the March 11, 2020, this is already going on the peak point of our lockdown. So March 11, 2020, we receive again advisory number 2, asking now HEIs to establish an emergency plan protocols based on WHO because at that time we have received several, because of the the panicking, as we said, the fearful that we were of those here and stay. So this advisory have again emphasized that it has to be based from the WHO guidelines in terms of screening and response of and HEI should be prepared for any possibility of the community level transmission, which at this point the regional offices have monitor several HEIs through calls as far as to the emergency plans that they have. So HEIs again are advised to regularly inform and update the CHED regional office on the activities and developments to ensure that the CHED regional office and the CHED central office can give support as needed. So we were glad that there were some HEIs, but not as we were expecting. But that at that point, that was only less than 50% that we have received call to informing us on their updates and activities of these different HEIs. So if you notice, March 11 again, advisory number 3, the same date in the afternoon, we again received this informing the regional offices on the development that HEIs should base now their assessment on the situations in their localities and giving out to exercise now academic freedom. So HEIs exercise flexibility in their academic calendar. So at this point, the NSDP, the deployment was at the peak, and then there were other alternative activities that required practicum and OJT, deploy available distance learning, evaluate students on the basis of available indicators that is enumerated from 1 up to 7. If you notice, we have sent soft copies and we believe that all HEIs have received this, and I know you are well informed and aware of all these enumerated basis for or indicators as you exercise your academic freedom in this area. Okay, so that is for the advisory number 3. Next, after several days, March 14 again, receive advisory 4. So this is, of course, a continuation of the previous issuances advisory of 1, 2, and 3. And HEIs now urgently develop contingency plans now and perform environmental cleaning and disinfections, and talks about the advisory talks about the skeletal forces and social distancing protocols. So again, as we mentioned, we keep our hand busy, we keep our eye busy to continuously monitor and continuously advise HEIs to inform and update our regional office again for any eventualities, for those things at the time, and if there were some identified COVID victims, they have to inform us for possible assistance, for possible help from the regional office. So in this case, the CHED regional office issued series of memorandum in relation to this advisory 4. Again, after 3 days, the advisory 5 came in, and this is more on the implementations which was imposed on the ECQ, most because in Luzon, where again the OJT practicum intern were suspended. So HEIs again was advised to work and coordinate their local government units and the CHED regional offices if they need to suspend classes. So they were asked in this advisory that they can adjust their semesters or cancel events within state, especially in the state universities and colleges. So lots of students have been affected with this suspension of the OJT and practicum. So we received a lot of complaints already, lots of from the parents and from the students itself. So April 13, advisory number 6. So the advisory number 6, again, this was still an extension of the ECQ, where HEI shall continue to exercise their judgment in the deployment of available flexible learning and other alternative modes of delivery in lieu of campus learning. Of course, it is mentioned there that it will always depend on the available resources of HEI, which is the highlights and which is very, very important for them to exercise their flexible learning. So at this point, we receive again calls from different HEIs. That's why Dr. Rodri Garcia have met the technical group to allow and to get the assistance of all Council of Deans to come up with their own 7 webinars to determine the problems that they might incur for their flexible learning. So at this point, we were happy indeed because the different Council of Deans were so active in discussing with all the members. So indeed, I would like to acknowledge the Council of Deans for Engineering, the Council of Deans for IT, the Council of Deans for Teacher Education, the Council of Deans for Hotel Restaurant Management, the Council of Deans for Business Education, the Council of Deans for Criminal Justice Education, the USUCOM, and of course the Council of Deans for the health-related programs. So all of these councils have met to discuss and have undergone series of training in terms of their flexible learning. So guidelines for HEIs using, in this advisory, it is also mentioned about the guidelines for HEIs using the old academic calendar. That means those academic year started from June to May, and the new academic calendar from August to July. So lots of HEIs have revised their school calendar and pattern the new academic calendar to start August up to July. So in preparations for this, HEIs now are advised to adopt measures to safeguard the health and safety of their students, faculty, and staff. And the last one we have received is the advisory number 7, which was May 24. So again, in conjunction with the CHED advisories number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. On this, it talks about the HEIs operations and work arrangement. And the opening of classes for academic year 2020-21 shall be based on the HEI's delivery mode and on the HEI's preparations for the opening of academic year 2020-2021. Indeed, after this advisory, the CHED Central Office, through the Office of the OPSD, they conducted the public consultations on the implementations guidelines for this flexible learning. So public consultations together with the regional offices, and we have attended lots, and I'm glad that there were several attendants from the region who have attended these public consultations on flexible learning. So online education, it mentions there that they can start, if it is an online education, they may open anytime after May 31, which this is just mentioned there. And then for flexible learning, anytime August 2020. And of course, this is no longer applicable, significant face-to-face, no earlier than September 2020. So the main concern here, as after the public consultation there was the final public orientation done last September 25 on the guidelines on the implementation of flexible learning, and this is now signed as CMO 04 2020. So I just want to give you a brief here on the guidelines on the implementations of flexible learning for a while. Okay, just a rundown on the section 4 of this. Section 4, number 4 said, okay, so for now, you have, okay, we have here the general guidelines for the implementations of the flexible learning. I believe this is quite long for me to read, but somehow, as I've mentioned, this was sent to your office, to all HEIs. And if you don't have copy of this, please just feel free to contact our office so that we could send another soft copy for these guidelines on the implementations of flexible learning. So I would like to focus on the learning continuity plan, which we have sent communications regional memo to the different HEIs to submit flexible learning continuity plan. Number 4, Sid, please. Okay. Number 4, it says here, as a sustainability and monitoring mechanism, HEI should submit for information their learning continuity plan to CHED regional offices at the beginning of the academic year 2020-2021. If you will notice that this CMO is intendedly for one whole year, for academic school year 2020-2021, considering the vulnerable, the needs, the emergency for this COVID. So we have come up with this one. So this memo is intendedly for academic year 2020-21. So we have set deadline for the HEIs to submit their learning continuity plan, and it shall reflect the framework and system for the transitions and integrations of flexible learning approaches and overall absorptive capacity of the HEIs to articulate its preparedness and response to so that it will reduce disruptions of classes and impact of natural calamities, making continuity non-resilient. So remember, your LCP is an informations to the regional office. Purposely is to submit for information what you have in your school, in your HEIs, as far as your resources. Of course, you have this, although for now, I would say there are still siguro around 85% based from our records, there are still some HEIs which failed to submit, which you are still waiting up to now. Hopefully, all HEIs should submit because this is now a CMO as a requirement, as mentioned by Sir Rodi. The monitoring of the regional office will be based from your learning continuity plan. If you are implementing the LCP based on what you have submitted, okay, especially on this. The policies on enrollment, attendance, reporting, and updating of student teachers, then we are still looking for constant dialogue with the local government unit. It has to be with proof. It has to be, you have to show to the regional office that all HEIs are asserting all the measures for the health of the students and their stakeholders, I mean. So letter E, you have their health and safety protocols in accordance with the IATF and LGU advisories. Letter F, overview and orientation guide for student teachers and other school administrative and support services and support services staff and flexible learning should complement outcomes-based education approach, which allows flexibility for the HEIs to employ various means of delivery, and as long as they can show the achievement of the set learning outcomes and course subject for the program. In terms of learning outcome, HEI shall review all their curricular and make the necessary adjustment or modifications in the curricular program of study, considering the prerequisites and core requisites, alternative options in the design, delivery, pedagogy, and assessments that can be delivered to the students through various modalities. Okay, so that is why we consider on the opening of classes, we have requested you to send to us, and that was even during summer classes. Some of the HEIs, there were around 15 HEIs who have applied in the region for summer classes because they started to come up with some modifications in their curricular offering. Plus, of course, those whose PSG or their curriculum requires summer classes and to all the graduating students. So there were around 15 which we have approved for the offering of summer classes. So HEI's implementation of its flexible learning strategy must be anchored on the institutional objectives as mentioned by Dr. Rodi earlier. It has to be based on the vision, mission also of the institutions. Okay, next. All right. We just want to get the highlights and because we will get some feedbacks from you. So this here, number 8, the HEI shall establish means for student and teacher engagements or communications, which may be in the form of message, SMS, electronic mail, chat, instant messaging, and other means which are appropriate and available in order to ensure personalized, effective, efficient, and timely mentoring. Okay. So we have here 1 up to, this is actually 1 up to now. I I just want to show also here. Dr. Roddy earlier made mention about sharing of resources. So in this CMO, it also mentions about uh, it talks about consortium with other HEIs. But anyway, we have here, these are now your guide as far as the level of technology to be used for the delivery of programs based on connectivity of students. Number, okay. Number five, various modalities in the implementations of flexible learning and teaching. Number five, we have the components. May I ask Sid to open 5? All right. We have here the various modalities and the implementations of the flexible learning and teaching. In terms of technology, because this is the blended learning, so if it is offline, you have there enumerated printed modules, audio tapes, video tapes, CDs, storage devices, learning packets, television, radio, broadcasting, learning management system. If it is a blended learning, so it has desktop computer, laptop, smartphones, mobile applications. If virtual or collaborative learning is to be implemented, LMS must be set up. We also have a series of webinars about LMS, printed modules, audio tapes, video tapes, CDs, storage devices, learning packets. There's also here televisions and radio broadcasting networks and learning management system. For online, we have desktop computer, laptop, smartphones, mobile applications, learning packets, and the learning management system. Next component we have is the content learning materials, which is the learning objects. So offline, printed or electronic modules, video, this podcast, webcast, OERs in storage devices. So we have here 3 columns, so offline, blended, and online, so which everybody may have to read all of this so that at least we can get feedbacks from you. So I will not discuss more of this because we have to concentrate. The regional office would like to get now feedback from the HEIs from your end so that at least we can be of help to assist for any development that you have, and we are always willing to support together with the CHED Central Office. And I'm happy indeed because during the public orientations, there were more than hundreds participants coming from the regions, as we have seen in during the virtual presentation. So I believe you all have this copy now for this. And the last part of this, the Creations and Development Consortium, as mentioned by Dr. Roddy. So sharing of resources with those big schools and those small schools. But let me just emphasize that it is mentioned also here in the CMO that this should not be misconstrued as distance education. So distance educations may differ from this flexible learning. There's another CMO for distance educations that we have to concentrate, or transnational. So with this, I would like to say thank you so much, and we will concentrate now on the open forum. Muchísimas gracias.
Dr. Tan has reviewed the different issuances of CHED Advisory numbers 1 to 7 and also salient features of CMO 4 series of 2020. These advisories and CMO have been the backbone of reminders for the HEIs, active participation in trying to mitigate the virus, and at the same time, the proper conduct of flexible learning per adherence to the advisories and guidelines. Thank you, Dr. Tan, our OIC Chief Education Program Specialist. At this juncture, we are open for question and answer, or the open forum. And this open forum will be facilitated by Vicente R. Regalado, our Education Program Specialist too.
Good morning, everyone. My name is JB and I will be the facilitator for today's open forum. We would like to remind everyone to please mute your microphone to avoid unnecessary noises. Should you have questions, suggestions, comments, or feedbacks, please type them in the chat box and we'll read them for you so that they will be answered by our regional director, our Dr. Rodi P. Garcia, as well as our Chief Education Program Specialist, Dr. Baby Tan. If there is a need for a participant to speak, please type at the chat box and tell us that you wish to speak so that you can be recognized. Once recognized, please unmute your microphone and raise your question, suggestion, or feedback. With the limited number of slots at Zoom platform, we are streamed as well through Facebook Live and YouTube Live. And for those who are watching, you may also ask questions, give your comments, suggestions, and feedbacks. You may type your queries at the comment box, and we have our colleagues here at CHED9 who will take note on your questions and we will read them to be answered. Thank you. So for those who wish to give their questions or raise their questions, please do so. You may type them in our chat box.
Okay, Sir Galado, thank you so
Or you may
much.
raise
So this is your
your
time. Our participants, particularly the heads of higher education institutions and those are significant members of the academy, to raise any issues or concerns that the Commission on Higher Education can address it or can resolve or can guide you as to how you can go on with your opening of classes and the ongoing classes relative to the pandemic situation. May we hear from the HEIs this time? I made it clear earlier that the Commission on Higher Education, we are mandated, the Commission mandating a regional office to see to it that all higher education institutions are implementing the flexible learning modalities. And through its implementation, we would like to see the essential of your learning packages so that our students can feel that there is an active interaction between the learners and the teachers. So we want to hear it directly from our stakeholders, you, our stakeholders, to give us feedback. So in a way, we can also share either it's a good culture or practices that you have right now to other regional offices as well as to the central office.
Dr. Rodi, we have one question from our Facebook Live. She's from Claret College of Isabela. Her question is, we would like to know any updates regarding the practicum program. Thank you.
Okay. For the practicum program, as of this moment, as I made mention earlier, we, from the Commission on Higher Education, we do not have yet any issuances relative to the conduct of practicum or face-to-face on-the-job training programs. So we will just wait for further advisory coming from the Commission. So as of this time, what we encourage our HEIs is to conduct theory-based, and later, if we already have some issuances that we can already go with our on-the-job training, then we will inform immediately our stakeholders. As of now, we are refraining our higher education institutions to engage with their students face-to-face. As feedback, so in a
Thank
way,
you, Sir Rodi. We also have another
students.
question from St. Joseph College of Sindangan. I think this is regarding complaints. The question is, was there hearing other parties or imposed penalties?
As of this time, we are looking at as to what would be the penalty, but there is no mentioning of penalty in our advisory. If there is penalty, it can be imposed by the AITF. The AITF can impose penalty because of what the law provides, the HEIs as one. And that is very, they pronounced it, that violation to such is also against what is in the law. And we know for the fact what if the law is implemented, whoever violated it, there is such a sanction for each violation. So for now, the commission has no sanction yet, but we do encourage them to please observe health safety protocol and avoid having face-to-face interaction with students until such time that the guidelines will come out and allowing the so-called face-to-face meeting with students.
Thank you, Dr. Rodi. We have another question from Dr. Adrian P. Samorlan, Dean of College of Liberal Arts from WIMSU. Sir, pwede ba daw face-to-face na graduate school?
As of now, if you have noticed, our CMO clearly states that to include graduate school. To include graduate school. That's very clear. Mambi, right? It's stipulated in our CMO.
Still no face-to-face classes.
Yes, even in the graduate school.
Correct. That's right.
We also have another question from Jose Rizal Memorial State University. Good morning, Mr. Chair. What is the stand of the Commission on Remote Internship or OJT? There are external industries who wish to partner with us on this. May we know if there are guidelines given on this?
Okay, now it is very clear. It's up for the institution to really look at as to the possibilities of having a virtual on-the-job training with industries, as long as it is not face-to-face. And if you think that it can be upheld to the institution as well as to the students, then you may, because you have academic freedom. That is your constitutional right, as long as there is no face-to-face. And as long as, if it's a board course, you have to inform us. Inform also the PRC in particular, if it relates to health related courses, that the number of hours that the students have to comply prior to the admission for any board courses, for the board examination rather.
I think there's a follow-up question for this, Dr. Rodi. Do these industries need to have accreditation from CHED to be able to deliver the remote internship or OJT?
As of now, we don't have yet guidelines. We will, the institution probably can inform us if they have already initiative, so that we can bring this matter directly to the commission as to whether these things can be considered as part of the on-the-job training. So I encourage higher education institutions, if you have initiative to have engagement with industries that is purposely for your on-the-job training, please inform us in writing so that we can also inform the central office and get their recommendation and suggestions.
So another question here, concern ng ibang faculty po, what is more than 21 years old? Di ba pwede mag-quiz or oral ng one-on-one?
Very clear, very clear. The guideline states that there should be no face-to-face interaction. Still having 1:1 oral interaction in case of recitation. Still, the students have to travel from home to the school, especially if they are below 21 years old. And even above 21 years old, the guideline is very clear.
So another question is, sa graduate school, hindi ba pwede mag-class kahit half of the class, then next meeting half din ng class?
Very clear still. Our CMO4 very clear that it applies to all students either in the undergraduate and graduate programs. As I made mention, despite that you have your academic freedom, we have these guidelines for us to follow. And if in case you wish to implement such a strategy, so please write to our office officially so that we can also answer it officially, and we will also get the guidance of the central office.
Thank you, Dr. Rodi. So while waiting for other questions, again, I would like to remind, if there is a need for a participant to speak, please type at the chat box and tell us that you wish to speak so that you can be recognized. Once recognized, please unmute your microphone and raise your question.
As of this time, I would like to encourage our higher education institutions having one of the typologic function of higher education institution is research. I do encourage you to conduct already feedback survey as to the implementation of your flexible learning modalities, so that by this time or a month from now, we can already have a glimpse of your the effectiveness of your online or flexible learning modalities based on your implementation. So we do encourage to continuously get feedback from your stakeholders and inform the commission as to what and how we can help you. Because very alarming, no? In DepEd, they go up on top of the roof just to show that there is no access to internet connection. I hope these things won't happen to higher education institutions, also showing such pictures that because of less access to internet, they go up on roof just to show to social media that such flexible learning modalities is quite very ineffective because of the access. So we have the option to go online and offline based on the capability of both higher education institutions and your stakeholders.
Sir Rod, we also have another question here from PTMS. Sir, is it possible that there will be a closing of classes in schools in the future due to increasing number of COVID-19 cases?
So it depends upon, as I made mention, the decision should come from the institution. If you think that there is really a high number of positive cases within the perimeter of the institution, you may inform the commission and so to stop the temporary closure of the institution until such time that everything would be okay. So I think they have given already the freedom even to those institutions who are not yet ready for the opening of classes. They may defer the opening of classes if it doesn't warrant health safety of our stakeholders.
So Rod, we have another question from Facebook Live. Is there any update of the holding of ROTC training?
There is no update yet. As I mentioned earlier, the ROTC training, it requires a physical training. But then if they can also come up with a strategy to conduct virtual training for the ROTC, please inform the commission so that we can relay this to central office.
Dr. Rodi, we have Dr. Monte Alto. I guess she wants to raise her question.
May question dito, I'll be the one to read no, from DCIT. But what if the local AITF gives us a go signal for a face-to-face as long as aged 21 and below 60? Of course, the AITF is a local governing board to see to it that we follow what is in the law. However, it still requires for the commission to approve it. So if you have such proposal, if you have such approval coming from AITF allowing you to have such, still the last to give you the blessing is the Commission on Higher Education, having all higher education institutions are under the jurisdiction of CHED. Just inform us in writing. May tanong dito, no? Dr. Montero, kindly pause your question. I would like to ask question. Can CMO 15 series of 2019 can be applied ba retroactively sa mga new programs ng graduate school still from Dean Simorlan? Ma'am Baby Tan, can you give us CMO 15 series of 2019?
Okay, CMO 15 2019, that's generic applications of the policies and guidelines for all graduate programs. So at the end of that, there's a transitory provisions that it will be 3 years. It will be 3 years transitory provisions for the full implementation of the CMO 15 series 2019. If you notice, the CMO is a generic wherein there is no content as far as curriculum. So we will expect another series of consultations for a different programs, say for MA in liberal arts, MA in business, MA for teacher education, because that is specific, which talks about the curriculum, the subject content. So for now, there's 3 years transitory provisions for that.
So in other words, that since it was approved in 2019 and so by 2020, 2022, it is expected that all higher education institutions will be implementing the CMO 15, in particular the requirements for a doctorate degree programs that they need to publish the work, to do some presentations either locally and internationally as requirements for them to finish their doctorate degree programs. So you still have time to probably enhance your curriculum and prepare the curriculum as well as prepare your students for such requirements.
Dr. Rodi, Dr.
Yes.
Monte Alto from MCOTEC would like to ask a question
Yes,
live.
beautiful, Ma'am Monte Alto.
Good morning, sir. Actually, I'm writing the question, but I'm cold. Anyway, it's about our practice teachers. We had some enrollees last semester, second semester, and of course their grades are deferred because of this problem. And we propose to them to continue via online the internship, because we are providing them some lessons on how to conduct new normal teaching modalities. So they are in contact with us online. How is it, sir? Just to
It's,
finish the internship.
yeah, I think we are so lenient. The word lenient is part of the approaches that we need to consider. Having a final requirement for those graduating students last
Yes, sir.
year, we do allow them to have the other way of having the same outputs from the face-to-face to virtual engagement. So in other words,
Yes,
if the
sir.
question about as long as the institution, because always remember, you have your academic freedom. Inform
Yes, sir.
the commission how you will do it, how the
Okay,
institution
sir.
can prove to the commission that you can achieve your mission and vision and goal based on the CHED memorandum orders or the standard being implemented by the commission. As to the
Okay, sir.
strategy, it's up for the institution to whatever activities or programs that would satisfy to your standard and to the standard of the commission.
Okay, sir. Salamat po, sir.
Okay.
Dr. Rodi, we also have Dr. Penelope Colisao from Zamboanga State College of Marine Sciences and Technology. She would like to ask her question live.
Good morning,
Dr. Penelope.
Professor.
Good morning, Chair. Thank you for this webinar. Okay, live. It's nice to be listening to all the feedbacks. Thank you, po. I'm just an ordinary faculty, but coming from Zamboanga State College of Marine Sciences and Technology, but at the same time, the Vice President for Cote Region 9. Okay, my question po ako, I have heard and listened to Dr. Hasintatan, and it has been emphasized in the guidelines for flexible learning. I was particular with provision 4 and 8, and this is linked perhaps with the learning continuity plan. Learning continuity plan po. And sad to note, if I heard it correct, na 85% pa lang ang nakabigay po, okay, ng learning continuity plan. But I am very particular with the coming weeks. For example, if in case a higher education institution from September 7 na move na po October 5, but still hindi pa rin po ready, okay lang po ba yun? Or although it's very difficult to say that whether it is online or offline, nandyan pa rin po ang problema, and we are all here to help each other, whether it is within the school or it's a small school to the big school, because we are to abide with the IATF and the CHED regulation po. And my question is, how would you monitor on this, Chair? Thank you po.
Okay, earlier I made mention that we are having already a schedule to monitor the different higher education institutions. We will be engaging ourselves physically with the health protocol that we really have to observe in order for us to really see for ourselves as to the implementation of the course packages being implemented by higher education institutions. I remember when we issued a regional memorandum order relative to flexible learning modalities, we give the full freedom to higher education institutions to design and develop the different programs and activities concerning the opening of classes. Meaning that you have all the freedom. We never actually impose a certain policies in the designs of your flexible learning modalities because of the academic freedom. So this time, it's your commitment when you submitted to us your flexible learning modalities and informing us that you will have already the schedule of your classes by to a certain date which we approve, meaning that we give full trust and confidence to to all higher education institutions. We would like to assess whether the institutions have really that commitment as mentioned in their flexible learning modalities, meaning our assessment will be based from your commitment, will be based from your flexible learning modalities. If found that the institutions are not yet ready, then we have to really guide the institutions. It's not a matter of having the classes opened by tomorrow. It's about what we can offer to our learners. That's the essence why we need to prepare learning packages. It's not about opening of classes. It's about how ready are our higher education institutions in the implementation of the different learning packages. So if found not yet ready, our recommendation is to please, and we even allow our regional office, when we had our meeting with the technical staff, I told them if they can submit by termed learning packages, knowing that they are experiencing certain difficulties in the development of modules, we already informed in writing that those with modules for first term or second term, they may submit and open their classes, provided that they have to continuously update the commission for the rest of the modules.
Salamat
That's
po.
all, Professor.
Thank you po.
Dr. Roddy, we have another question here, but this is related with CMO 15 series of 2019 again. Can this be applied by retroactively sa mga new programs ng graduate school?
So for that question, we know for the fact when it comes to CHED memorandum order, always prospectively applied, meaning that the law provides that whatever issuance says or whatever laws, whatever policy, government policy, it cannot apply retroactively unless provided or clearly provided in that particular CMO. Our CMO 15 clearly states that there is transitional period, no, after 3 years. In other words, that new programs for any higher education institutions would like to apply for new programs, the existing CMO would still be applied, but we have to consider as to its outcomes, as to its direction towards compliance to CMO 15. Because for sure then, the students will be considered as enrolled if they will apply for this new program. The requirements probably can use at CMO 15 can be applied in terms of the requirements. In terms of the curriculum mentioned by Ma'am Baby, so there was no specification as to the curriculum yet. Only the requirements for those students who will be finishing their graduate programs towards 2020, they have to comply with the requirements. So as to the curriculum, there is no mention of the new curriculum yet. So the old curriculum can still use, however, towards the direction of complying CMO 15.
Thank you, Dr. Roddy. We also have another question from St. Stanislaw Kostka College. So the question goes, do we have an advisory to cease as of this time the conduct of long exams for the college students?
Long examination, is that face-to-face or virtual examinations or offline examinations? There are two things that we have to consider and we really have to define it clearly. So if it's a long examination and they require students to go there by batch, and the commission stands that we are not encouraging higher education institutions to still have face-to-face, Either it's during examination or during recitations or during laboratory exposure.
It seems that there are no more questions. Um, there are no more questions
Online and
found on
virtual.
our.
St. Stanislaw is actually being a follow-up question, offline and virtual. The subject of the question is that long examination, as we are not refraining from whatever mode of examinations to be given by higher education, either it is a short or long examination, because the institution is the one actually developing their own standard. They are the one, they are the best person or organization that can prove that what they are doing is best for the students.
Thank you, Dr. Roddy. So it seems that there are no more questions found on our Zoom group chat, as well as on our Facebook Live and YouTube Live. So I am now turning this.
May I?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you so much for all the questions that you have. But we are also informing everyone that this will be a regular monthly virtual meeting. So we would suggest, the CHED Regional Office would like to suggest that if there are some information that you would like to share to us, we would be very happy to receive, because Doc Roddy will discuss all this during the directorate meeting in Manila. So he would also be very proud to present should there be any additional information of development relative to the implementations of your flexible learning.
So in addition to that, Mambi,
yep.
Regional Office 9 will be coming up with survey, and hopefully you will engage yourself to give us feedback, so that more or less we can also inform the policymaker of this country as to the status of the implementation of the flexible learning modalities in the country or in our region in particular. Please help us give the right feedback, so that we can inform them immediately as to what are the needs of our stakeholders, especially in higher education institutions. We are just here and we are willing to listen and to engage with you both virtually and physically. So as I made mention earlier, Mambi, we will be engaging them physically as well as virtually in our regular monitoring as mandated by the Commission. So expect us to be there. So you don't need to prepare anything for us. We want to see that you are doing okay and you are doing great in the implementation of the flexible learning modalities in your own institutions. So that's the best thing that we can do and the best gifts that we can give to our learners this time. So thank you.
Your learning continuity plan will be the basis also of the team to monitor whether you are implementing what is you have to have submitted to the regional office, because you have informed us that those are the components of your learning continuity plan, which is a basis of information to us. That is why they need to go around, as mentioned by Sir Rodi, to monitor the implementations of what you have submitted to the regional office.
Thank you, Dr. Roddy. Thank you, Ma'am Tan. I am now going to turn over program to our hosts.
Okay, thank you, Sir JB, for facilitating the open forum. And thank you, Dr. Garcia, as well as Dr. Tan, for shedding clarity and addressing the concerns of the HEIs through the questions asked today. So before this meeting will be put to a close, let us ready ourselves for the photo op. Our technical staff, Sid, will capture our smiles frame by frame. So I may request everyone now to kindly enable your video. That goes to everyone, including us, Dr. Shamir. So, Sid, everyone, please turn on your video. Give me a cue, Sid, if we're ready. So, okay na? Ready na? Okay, so let's all smile and wait for Sid to capture our photo.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, next page. Okay, 1, 2, 3.
On my phone.
Next screen. Smile. Smile lang po. Just keep your smiles. Okay, and so we're done. Thank you. Dr. Sham?
At this point, we will hear from Engineer Joseph Lucy Santa Teresa, our Education Supervisor 2, for the closing statement.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Dr. Sham and Ms. Kay. So, as we conclude this virtual meeting, the Commission would like to thank all the presidents of all higher education institutions, their faculty and admin staff who have one way or another made possible the continuity of teaching and learning beyond the usual face-to-face instruction, migrating from the traditional to flexible teaching learning options. And of course, our gratitude also to the CHED team that made this online consultation possible, from our planning division, MIS planning division, to our CHED technical staff, our education supervisors, our supervising education program specialist, Dr. Abelardo Morok, our OIC Chief Education Program Specialist, Dr. Jacinta Tan, and most especially, of course, to our OIC Regional Director, Dr. Rocky Garcia, for the support and for being proactive to reach out and serve our HEI students and stakeholders. As we continue to journey towards surviving the challenges of the global pandemic, doing it may be difficult, but anything can be surpassed if we do it together as we transcend towards innovation for quality and excellence in higher education. As we assure the quality and excellence in education is delivered, we cannot do it on our own. You are the key and the champions of education. Nothing is impossible if we do it together. Your cooperation and support in this endeavor is a manifestation of your unwavering commitment to deliver quality higher education with utmost compassion for the students in this time of pandemic. To everyone, happy Teachers Day and thank you everyone and muchísimas gracias. Thank you.
Again, with grateful hearts, we truly appreciate your virtual presence and participation in our first monthly executive engagement, as Dr. Garcia put it. Then, we'll see you next month. I am Kay Alvarez.
And I am Shamir R. Kasim. And once again, thank you. Have a wonderful day ahead and let us all stay safe and healthy. God bless us all.
Happy Teachers Day, everyone.
Happy
Thank you,
Teachers Day po.
RD Garcia.
Happy Teachers Day to all of our heroes, our teachers.
Congratulations to the technical work group.
Thank you, ma'am.
Advance Happy Fiesta Sambuanga.
Thank you.
Advance Happy Fiesta Pilar to everyone in Zamboanga City.
Hi, Maman.
Good morning,